All right, we are on at 6:05, so we will call this meeting to order and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Here we are, July 9th. So we are more than halfway through this year. All right, we're going to continue talking about our budget for 2027. And did we have anything else someone wanted to bring up that we didn't address already the last two workshops we had?
Well, we did not put anything in for a truck or a car because we didn't know exactly how much or where it should go.
Okay.
How much are UDO updates going to keep costing? Because I'm taking it out of CPA services because I don't have anything to take it out of, and I want to make maybe something specific for it.
It actually is like CPA
It's kind of
redevelopment.
Yeah.
So the $25,000 we put in planning and zoning, that was fund 1318. That's already been spent.
Oh wait, this is last year. I mean, this is next year.
Oh, yeah.
In 2025, we had $25,000 in the general annexation, and then
So
we
that's
decided
where we want it to come out
we
of.
decided to change that to planning and
Because I can
zoning.
go back and change them and put them in.
Well, you already changed it on Gateway. If you look on Gateway, Fund 1318 says planning and zoning.
Well, these aren't in numerical order, so. I don't see it on the budget for 2027. I don't see 1318 on here. Does anybody else? Oh, I know why, because we made up a whole new appropriation fund for planning and zoning.
Right, because the DLGF said we had to create its own specialized fund.
We also have to have an ordinance made, because like when we started the edit fund, we were using it for park, we had to have an ordinance to show what we were going to be paying out of the planning and zoning, where the money was coming from to go into planning and zoning.
We talked about having a planning and zoning admin fund, a planning and zoning
Appropriation.
miscellaneous fund. That way the planning and zoning, I thought that's what we talked about, the planning and zoning administrative type fees would come out of one fund.
I know, but how's the money going to get into that appropriation? Is it going to be tax money? Because I've done the building permits that we've done, there's no way it's going to pay for.
Well, I thought we were gonna take the annexation money that we had appropriated for planning and zoning and move it to one of the two other funds.
Which this is what I printed off of Gateway, and that I have circled. That's the 13.8 fund, and it says planning and zoning. That's
Is it for
this year.
2027 or
That's for
2026?
26.
Okay, so this
Currently-
one that I have for 2027, I don't see it on there, so I'm going to have to add it in there.
Okay, so where did that go? Did it just
I
disappear?
guess we just didn't add it in when we were doing.
okay? So wherever we and wherever we got the money to put in that annexation fund, then we would just continue to put that money in there as well for planning and zoning to
But
cover.
planning and zoning is gonna have to have its own, in a fund report. You got the general fund, you got the, planning and zoning is gonna have to have their own fund, right?
Right.
So how's the money gonna go into that fund for you to start paying stuff out of it? Just out
Yeah,
of,
we'll just
out of
appropriate.
permits?
No, it won't, because we don't do enough permits to support all the things we want to do. So we will just have to appropriate a, budget amount to go into that fund every year,
But it has to come from somewhere.
the general fund. So it would come out of either our property tax base or what the county's going to end up giving
because
us.
property taxes, you can take part of you can take a percentage and put it somewhere else. Like if you need money in motor vehicle highway, you can take, and I'm not even real sure, cause I haven't done it for a long time, what the percentage is that you can take and put somewhere else. So what I'm saying is, if we are gonna have a planning and zoning fund, we're gonna have to make an ordinance, and then when I do my budget, I'm gonna have to say 15% of property taxes is going into planning and zoning. And if you want the pay that you've decided that you're gonna pay people out of that fund, you just better make sure there's $12,000 in there in order to get the money going to pay them.
Right.
Because there's not much, permit fees.
Right, but that'll help put the permit fees in there also.
Right, I get that.
But and then that would help pay for, any incidentals that would come along if we want to replace a banner that got damaged, or the things that the planning and zoning group
Okay.
continues to work on.
I just wanna make sure.
Yeah. No, that
there's
makes sense
somewhere
to
where there's-
formalize that. Yeah, if we need to have an ordinance, then to create that fund. I remember seeing the House Enrolled Act that stated that this fund had to be designated, but I didn't see details about, you create it by doing X, Y, Z or whatever.
Well,
I
we
just-
we created it.
Sure.
Whether we created it correctly or not, we created it, and so it's there for next year for the money to go in there. I was just worried about where the money was gonna come from.
Yeah, and we can just have it come from, the percentage of the budget. I don't know what percentage we'd have to calculate it out, because it doesn't. We want.
You could probably take 5% of the property tax.
Because what's that? A
we
property
just-
tax is about 140,000
Hang on,
by itself.
we got the statement of the property tax.
But we're still just gonna have one, or are we gonna have admin and?
I remember us talking about having two funds, like funds that would come out of the banners or any other kind of fund, any other kind of thing that the planning and zoning wanted to do that didn't fall under some kind of administrative, like EDO would fall under administrative, and
So
that's
this
what we
was
talked
land.
about. And since we weren't doing the annexation thing, I just talked about moving the annexation funding that we had set aside into either splitting into those accounts. Whether they be existing or new, I guess they're new, we have to new, so we just take the new.
Well, and just like with our other funds, like the edit fund, which is fund number 4436, it has subcategories of town maintenance, employer's share of miscellaneous park supplies, pond supplies.
Right.
So in when we create the planning and zoning fund, whatever number, I think they designated it had to be a number if I remember the email from DLGF right. So then in that fund, subcategories would be, one would be admin fees, and which would be what we would pay to our planner from Banning Engineering to do our UDO information.
Okay, so we created planning and zoning, it's Fund 2240.
Yeah. So then within that would be a sub-fund of,
Right, I was just worried about where the money was gonna come from to go into that fund. I mean, you can make all the funds you want, but you gotta have money to go
Right.
into it.
so if we have 5% of our,
Okay, so we
Tax.
just got our property tax for June, and it was 113,066.
okay,
So if you took 5% of that, you'd have 5,500 and, I don't know. My mind is not calculating.
all right, that wouldn't cover what we've talked
Right.
about already
Right.
with planning and zoning. So you said 113.
113,066.12.
Even 15% is only $16,959.
And that's only the May, June, whatever, you're still gonna get probably 80,000 in November or December. So then you have another 5% back. Cause this is just the May, June distribution.
Right, but I know last month we talked about increasing the amount we were paying to Mary Strotter from the 25,000 to 35,000, just to cover all the additional work we're needing to do on this UDO, since we've discovered it's a little bit more of a mess than we thought. So
You're moving some money though, aren't you, from annexation into that account? Well, how much is that you're moving from that account to the other?
Right, from our special budget meeting on May 14th, minutes show that planning and zoning will take place of annexation in the budget as an appropriation line item with an amount of $26,000, so it'll be a 3.5% increase to board salaries and so on. So we set it at 26,000 in the May meeting.
So you won't have 26,000 because some of the salary will come out of that 26,000? Is that what you're saying, David?
That was my next question, is salary gonna come out of the general fund for planning and zoning, or is it gonna come out of planning and zoning? Because like Jerry, his comes out of
the
edit,
edit, right?
Katie, crossing guard comes out of motor vehicle highway.
So you took the 26 from annexation, and you had the percentage that you were talking about, which was 16,000, didn't you say, Doug? That
If-
gives you 42 in that account.
Which that was 15% of our property taxes would have to be diverted into that planning and zoning fund.
would 42,000 be enough to get you started for the year 27? And
I think
then-
that's the reason I didn't put it in the general fund, because I thought it had to go into the planning and zoning.
And that's why we're doing the administrative, was so, the payments to members attending could come out of administrative, right?
It can, I mean,
But that, that's one of the reasons I do remember talking about it, and then also talking about does it go into under salary.
I mean, their salaries could come out of general fund also. It's just a matter of, we're trying to make sure that we have an appropriate amount of money going into this.
right,
And, one priority is, of course, to make sure we have enough money to pay for the planning services for the UDO, since you're getting bills for that.
mhm.
So that, I don't want you to run into that same problem next year of, we're still getting these bills for this, but I don't have any money in there. But yeah, to answer your question for this year, that Fund 1318, which is,
Yeah, cause there's 22,000 left in there.
yeah, that should be what we use to pay Mary Strotter when she bills you for any UDO type things. But
Okay,
for next year,
2026.
right,
and for next year, you want it in planning and zoning.
yes. I think that was, from what I read from their position statement at the DLGF's office, that's the whole reason they're pushing for this fund to be created, is that it's keeps all that in one area, especially since with House Enrolled Act 1001, they're scrutinizing all of our building and planning that much more now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I said that was 4420. Two two four oh. It's close, it's left here. Which I did.
How many members are on the planning and zoning committee that are not, that are public?
There are 4 civilian members of planning and zoning, and then 5 BZA members.
And you meet once a month, every month, all of them.
Well, they don't all attend, although that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping this $100 will entice them to show up to meetings so that we can actually conduct business. We didn't have a quorum at all this last meeting, so we couldn't do.
Okay, so I have set up 2240-011-990 for planning and zoning already. So that'll just be like miscellaneous. Cause 990 or 590 is always miscellaneous. So then I'm gonna have to set up another one for if you want salaries out of there. And then one for administrative, right? You want that as the salaries.
The salaries would need something,
Mm-hmm.
if everybody, every meeting they should do.
Right.
And Doug, would you say you wanted to bump the UDO, fee for,
When, I mean, Mary and I
we kind of went through that together and looked at how much this would cost to bring us up to, having a legitimate, attempt at adopting a complete and errorless UDO would be around $30,000 to $35,000. She guesstimated.
Okay.
And some of that was her doing work, and some of that was her giving me assignments to finish some of the things that didn't require her full-time work, and so that could save some money there by me doing some of the legwork on that.
So you want that all under admin, the 10.8 and the 35?
Yes.
That's 45,800 total. We go with 35.
So we'll have to figure out what a percentage we'll have to take out of property taxes, and then make sure you still have enough to cover the general fund.
And then did we
Because
want,
things are not getting any cheaper.
were we gonna throw in any, miscellaneous funding for planning and zoning?
Yeah, I mean, I've got it here, but I don't have a money amount yet.
And like the banners came out of planning and zoning, right?
The banners are out of money from last year, it's all been
Right,
carried
but I'm
over.
saying items like that
Yeah,
came out of,
well, they might come out of,
Well, and in the future, if we get more sponsors for banners, every time they write a check, that money would go in that fund. If we get building permits that we issue, that money will go into that fund. So those could cover the incidentals or the miscellaneous.
yeah,
I mean, it won't be much,
no, it's not very much.
but I think that it.
Well, in 25 and 6 months of 26, we've taken in just almost $3,000 for electrical permits, different permits. Some of them are for at the sewer plant, but most of them are up here. Do you think $5,000 is enough in miscellaneous?
I guess,
I think that's a good place to start, and then if we run into issues with it, then we can readdress it next year.
Seems awfully warm in here, doesn't it? I think it was on 74 a little bit ago. Sometimes I get cold. I guess at least it's working.
All right, so do we need to address the the truck and the car, where you want those, that budgeted amount to come from.
Yep. And I also have another question about motor vehicle highway restricted. Because I have in the 26, and I've had it in there in all of them, grant fund match. And I don't think motor vehicle highway restricted can have anything like that. And I don't know why that.
As long as
always is the
it's-
same way.
As long as it's for the community crossing matching grant, it can be,
Out of
because
the
it's for
restricted?
paving, right?
Okay.
So,
'Cause I-
in fact, when Greg was here, they said that's where you want to take it from first, so that if you run into other issues where you need, then the unrestricted or that one then you don't have to worry about whether or not it'll fit that or not.
Okay.
But the restricted one just has so many regulations on it,
Yeah, there's
but
just-
it's paving the streets.
Yeah, there's like
That's
about
pretty
4
much-
things you can use it for.
Right. So that's why for CCMG grant match, that's the perfect place to take it out of, is motor vehicle highway restricted. And then he said the second place would be then to go to motor vehicle highway, and then local roads and streets, and then rainy day fund would be the last.
And I think I put some in, I think I put it in edit also. Yeah, I have some in edit also.
And since they switched our grant matched from the 75-25 to 80-20, we probably don't need grant match any more than just our motor vehicle highway fund amount, because that's essentially 5 times whatever that amount is. So
Okay.
if we've got $60,000 in there, then we can do $300,000 worth of work.
Okay. Are we doing another one
Yes.
this year?
Yep, 0 from the stop sign down to the library is looking pretty bad, so we want to get that done. And there were some other streets we'd looked at.
Well, I'd like Pennsylvania from Iowa, at least to the stop sign that would take up in front of the Pizza King, behind the restaurant, take care of those areas. Maybe, I don't know, whether they go all the way within 3 or 4 feet of the building on the restaurant side. Do we own that? Is that part of the street?
They'll go up to that sidewalk.
Okay,
So the sidewalk that runs in front of the Presbyterian Church,
yeah,
essentially that continues.
okay.
And so that's
That would
the end of the street. So,
take care of that
right.
part of the parking lot there. And it's eroded on the west side, if you see where it goes to the storm drain, it's ate out that asphalt about that deep where the water's been running towards that storm drain. So that's.
Yeah, so we'll work with Banning Engineering to come up with, a project for the $300,000 and then
Have we
use.
not gotten the final bill from Howard Companies yet?
Not that I know of. That's 12,000, right?
I don't know, I'd have to go look in the computer.
I think it's a little over 12,000. That was before they finishing up their own.
Ohio, right?
Yeah, I haven't heard a thing from them.
Maybe.
Maybe,
How much was
maybe they'll miss it.
How much was the original bid?
For the,
267, 272.
I think it was 272.
And we paid him
For the-
200,000.
Well, that can't be right. 'Cause we only, I think we only.
Because all of 500 South, that was the most expensive part.
Yeah.
That was close to 80 there than we
The
did.
amount that we got from the grant was $200,764.80, which has already been paid to them. But I
Oh,
also
okay.
have money, I'd have to look at my encumbrances and see what I've already paid them out of there also. Cause I paid them some of that, but I was just looking here, we still have 30, 60, 70, 81, 82,000 left in grant fund match here. But I don't know if any of that has to be paid to Howard.
I'm thinking 12,000 is what you paid to them.
Okay.
No, I haven't heard a thing out of it.
Well, hang on to it. They might just finally realize that they, oh, hey, we never billed Clayton for this other amount. All right. Yeah, so that would be for this next cycle of the Community Crossing Matching Grant. We would apply for what we could get out of what we have as in that grant
Okay,
match of motor vehicle highway restricted,
okay.
whatever that amount is. So
It's, $12,020 right there. And in just motor vehicle highway, there's $33,285 left. And in edit, there is $36,610. I'll go print that thing off in a minute.
well, and the awards wouldn't be announced until late November this year, so construction wouldn't start until spring of
So I'd have to
27.
encumber that money over again.
right.
too.
You just would encumber it again, and so that would.
Okay. Now truck cost.
Truck cost. All right, what did we finally come up with on an average of what you?
I priced a 3/4 ton and a 1 ton, and I think we should go with the 1 ton 8-foot bed. If we wanna use the salt spreader, we can put it in an 8-foot pit, we can't put it in a 6.5-foot pit. The Chevrolet 1 ton was $555 more than the 3/4 ton, which made it $55,878.80. Go to the Ford in a 1 ton, basically close to the same options. It was $3,123.30 cheaper.
So about $58,000.
I can tell you exactly here.
I mean, if we
In the
budgeted,
Ford, it would have been $52,755.50.
oh, okay. So if we budgeted $55,000 for a new truck, that would cover
That would have.
either one of those bids.
It should take care of it.
Okay. So does that sound like an amount we want to shoot for as far as budgeting for a truck for next year?
Yes.
Now, should we budget more for insurance, taxes, whatever else we gotta pay for that truck?
Taxes you don't have to pay, you just have to pay like a $15 registration fee or something.
So the insurance on the vehicle comes out of a different fund.
Yeah, but the insurance will have to be raised on in the
Yeah.
general fund.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility of looking and seeing about a good used truck, or do you not wanna do that?
I don't really wanna do that. We always buy used stuff and then we end up fixing it a lot, and then 10 years down the road, we're still fixing it a lot.
I mean, I think if we're gonna just buy a piece of equipment and buy it new, but it'll last us 15, 20 years doing that if we take good care of it, and we don't have to worry about what another owner did do it or didn't.
Still, do we need to add money somewhere to take care of insurance and plates?
Yeah, I'll have
We
to
still
add-
have to get plates and,
Yeah,
And
well, the
insurance.
plates are not very much either. I wanna say plates are maybe $25, but I'll have to add money to insurance. Yeah, we'll have to go check with Jason and see how much insurance is gonna be on a new truck, and it'll have to be added to the general fund insurance amount.
So what are we at on that right now?
Um, 25,000, I've got in insurance in the general fund. And I think this year we paid out.
$25 for the plates? That's not fair.
Government.
And then we got to pay sales tax too, wheel tax.
Yeah, I'm thinking, that is just not fair.
Okay, this year we paid 15,538 in the general fund for insurance. And then 45,36 for workman's comp. Park insurance was 1,232. Sewer plant was 55,32. But it
So
was-
that's about $26,000.
yeah, but that's in all the different funds too. So the 15,538 will probably have to go up to, well, we budgeted 20,000, so we still have 4,400 left. Oh, we think so.
And if we get a quote from Jason before December 31st, can we encumber that
Mm-hmm.
to pay the insurance for the next year? Do you hear that? Encumber it. I know, right? Okay.
Okay, so do you want it in the general fund, the motor vehicle highway fund? You want part out of park fund? You want some out of the
Well,
sewer fund?
if the vehicle is going to be used for road work of any kind, it's allowed to come. Some of it, at least, is allowed to come out of motor vehicle highway. And according to this paper, we've got $101,844. Is that right? In motor vehicle highway.
Yes, and 59,000 in motor vehicle highway restricted.
All right. Well, my vote is to take it out of the motor vehicle highway, since we got that amount, and then we could, if we get closer to December, we could get a more set quote, and then again encumber some of this. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
For that.
If Pete ends up using it for service hours for wastewater treatment, can we estimate those hours that was used and then pull that money from wastewater treatment at the end of the year? I mean, let's just say they're out and they're using it for some kind of equipment for wastewater treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're down at the wastewater treatment plant and they're going back and forth, they run to get something for wastewater treatment, the miles and stuff, the usage of it. Is there a way then to sit there and go, okay, we use the vehicle for 14 hours this week down to wastewater treatment plant? Is there a way to then prorate that money out of wastewater treatment and supplement the fund.
I would think the easier way to do it would be when you get ready to purchase it, you say, we're gonna take $5,000 out of sewage, and the rest is coming out of Motor Vehicle Highway.
Okay.
Or we're gonna take $7,500 out of the sewage fund, and the rest is out of Motor Vehicle Highway. That way it'll be so that they can use it in the sewer fund, part of the money has come out of there. I don't know if you could figure out
A percentage
percentages
kind of,
the hours
right.
or something.
Yeah, I agree. I think the best thing would be to do we're gonna just say a
Like we put
portion
in
of the
minutes
fund.
when we find out
X amount of
exactly.
dollars is gonna come from
Right.
wastewater.
When we purchase the truck, you know, this amount of money is coming out of the sewer fund because we know they're gonna use part of this work of this vehicle to do wastewater treatment plant or sewer maintenance or that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Okay. I think that's a good idea.
and then we'll, like, if we're gonna do 7,500, then we'll still just put like 50,000.
Right, I mean, you
in
know
Motor
that it's
Vehicle
gonna be used for some kind of wastewater treatment
Yeah.
service around town or at the plant or
Highway. Yeah,
running to get something, you know, so.
right.
Snow removal on that road going back to, under that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the car. I talked to Sarah at the bank down here to see if they had anything like we did at PNC, where it was like, you knew how much you had to budget every year to pay the payment. And she said that, Walter was who I needed to talk to, and Walter wasn't there, so. And wasn't it like 46,000 or?
Thomas, Gage told us to do that before.
No, I thought it was in the 40s.
And that's from the minutes. You give it to me.
Maybe I was hoping it was in the
She sent
40s.
in any kind of quote, anybody?
Yeah, there was I sent an email to everybody of the amount that he gave us, and it was through the same place that we got the white Tahoe from. So have that printed out here. Internet's still down at the town hall. Crazy.
Remember the title of that email?
$54,000.
That's what's in the minutes, yeah.
Now, we did find a 2017 Chevy Tahoe police vehicle for $24,795 that he would buy from Chicago Police. It had 34,000 miles on it. I didn't know if, but yeah, the new one was 54,000.
With much patrol going on since 2017,
Probably afraid to in Chicago.
Well, maybe it was, a diplomat's car or something, or the police chaplain.
there you go, that could be.
I don't know.
I think up there he'd be busy.
Nothing, I look at my, encumbrances. The direction banners were taken out of motor vehicle highway street signs and posts. The $3,026.
Okay.
And if we owe $12,000 to Howard Companies, well, I've got that we owe $13,285.01, and that's encumbered, so all that 60, however many, 80,000 is what I said,
Right.
we can use that for next year, or in November.
Okay.
So if you have to do 80/20, you might be able to do more than what you thought.
Yeah. That could be almost $400,000 worth of work if we, that's 80%,
Yeah.
or that's 20% of what we're looking at.
Yeah, there's almost $82,000 left right now.
Okay. All right, so we're almost out of time. So we have any final things we need to?
Where's the car coming out of?
So that could also, at least part of it, come out of motor vehicle highway fund. And I don't think it can come out of restricted though. And then there's local roads and streets also that I think it's allowed to come out of there. And according to this, we have 59,000 left in that. But
You said you were gonna target, well, Doug said we target County Road 0 paving from the stop sign to town limit?
right.
Okay.
And then Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and that means I'm gonna do more than that if we can.
That's the
Sure we
the
can.
top two.
Those are our top two priorities right there. we have some longitudinal cracking on Kentucky and some alligator cracking out here on Michigan. So we've got lots of roads that definitely need some work on them. So
And alleys.
Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, alleys we can't address with CCMG, but we can certainly do alley work. We just have to plan what we're gonna do.
Would, some of that millings be acceptable now?
Yeah, Tony said he would share those with us, right? Since we gave them to him. So yeah.
I mean, we could load that up in our dump truck and spread that.
All right. Anything else before we close out our budget meeting?
I have a question.
Okay. Excellent.
We keep putting money in motor vehicle highway for sidewalks, but we don't do anything with it. Should I just take it out?
No, because one of our goals and the planning commission is walkable city. And so they're going to start addressing sidewalk issues in that group. So they'll come to us and say, here's our plan or here's our idea. So we'll use that
Okay.
for the walkable city stuff. Good question. All right. Any,
Okay,
Cons-
so I put it down to 2,000 from 25. Should I put it back to 25? Or even more? We used to have a thing where you come in and you say, I'm gonna do a sidewalk. You get everything ready and we pay for the concrete. Now, come in right here and stand up at the podium.
Can't go to your front door.
right. We had, the equipment to set it up and
We had,
boards and all that
everything.
for,
All of a
right.
sudden they were gone.
Do we, oh, they're gone.
They're gone.
Oh.
So never mind.
All right. So, well, this for the sake of time, I will ask for a consensus to adjourn our budget meeting. Do we need another budget meeting, or is this gonna be enough?
I think that we can figure this out and send you guys everything.
Okay.
If you don't like what we've said, what we've done, you'll say, well, let's have another budget meeting.
All right, very good. I like that plan. Okay, we'll adjourn our budget meeting at 6:57.
That's more good. That's why it's not-